we are recording it. So welcome Daryl and Ian, and let's see if some more people join, then we can continue. I hope you can see already my screen, right, with the dashboard.
Yes, I can indeed.
Yes, great. So before we go further, maybe you wanted to introduce yourself, what business you do, and how you so far approach your target audience, right? That will really set a good context and background for our discussions for the 1 hour.
Well, my name's Daryl. I'm based in the UK. Basically, my background is web development and everything, but I've actually have an interest in video marketing, and I have a business which I'm trying to currently now start to evolve. I've got several things which I want to actually utilize, but I'm trying to actually gather traffic and make my target market better.
Right. So is there any approach that you currently follow to identify your target market?
I use some scraping tools to actually find available clients. I don't use social media quite so much. I haven't used it. I look to see what the trends are. So I may utilize things like SimilarWeb to actually sort of look at what the trends are, what other people are doing. And then I target perhaps local areas, but I haven't really started doing my approach on that.
Okay, I understand. Let's try to give an opportunity to Ian. If he's available, can unmute himself and then introduce Ian.
Yeah, hi there. Basically, I'm very new to all this. I've just started sort of doing some internet marketing. I've retired recently and wanted to have something to do as a sideline. So I'm looking at affiliate marketing, but still open-minded as to what direction to take, really.
Right. Your voice was a bit lower, so if you come close, then I think will be more better.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm currently in the car, so.
No worries. Then we'll keep you in a minimum distraction mode.
Stay safe.
Stay safe, drive safe. And don't worry about it. We'll record it and we'll share this with you as well.
Okay,
yeah.
Cheers.
So, cheers. Okay, so the common point here is both of you have a marketing background and you're looking for a direction. I'm not sure you already tried the tool already, or if you're looking to try it, but I'll try to introduce you in a way where we can find a common ground. And from there onwards, we can see if this is useful for you or not. That makes sense?
Yes, that is. I haven't used the tool yet as such, but I'm eager to actually start it now.
Right. So let me jump to screen. The way we wanted to define our target audience is a slightly different approach than you just described based on the trends, keywords, demographics. We will use those approach, but in a different way. So first, we wanted to understand how to define our target audience. I call this spread. So I'll explain what is spread, but we want to define our spread in a way we can use it for content creation. We want to define Fred to get super specific niche content, right? And there are several tools that we will use to define our Fred and some cool insights. So first thing first, we start with one person, one single person. And this person at one time, we are very clear in this that we are focusing on one person at one time. And this is our niche. So when you come to CrawlQ as an application or as an approach, niche is a person. Niche is not a business idea. Niche is not a topic. No, niche is not a search volume. Niche is not a trend. Niche is a person. This person has a lot of attributes. This person is someone that you can take on a coffee date. If you can't take this person out on a coffee date, then it's not a niche, right? This is person that someone and you can really take this person on a coffee date. This is real life person. This person has emotions, dreams, desires, feelings. They have troubles, they have worries, They have suspicions, they have interests, they belong to a specific group, they have failures in their life in the past. They have a lot of things going on currently in their business life, professional life. And Ian is also driving this actual person we are talking about, right? So the thing that we are going to do with CrawlQ is we will be looking at this person and we will fill the information vector. And this information vector is our data point, our research entry point to CrawlQ to create content for blog, sales pages, email, long or short form social media posts, any content that you can imagine, right? So I think in the very first beginning, I'm very clear here that we are starting with one single person. And now you will ask me a question, what is then buyer persona? What is my customer avatar? How is different from this single real life person? So the thing is, we are focusing on one person, and then we are using AI, insights, and other tools which are available to us inside the application to generalize and abstract this real life person to statistically significant real life people or real many people. So we say we start with Fred, right? And then we use AI and other tool, other information with us to create statistically significant number of Freds. And that's where your market is born. And that's where you're looking for a steering. That's where you're looking for a direction, right? And
so Fred is our desired person.
Right. Fred is a person who has fears, who want results. He has expectations. He has desire. I borrowed this acronym from this popular copywriting book from Jim Edwards, Copywriting Secrets. But Fred has fears. He wants results. He has expectations. He has desire. We are starting from one single Fred. We are using AI and other tools available with us to generalize this Fred so that a market is born and sort of steering. Steering is in your hand, right?
Yeah.
as you drive through. So then we start with one Fred and we generalize it. Now, next question you will ask me why we want to define this way in our approach from Fred and not from keywords, topics, and search volumes. Because we want to know what words Fred use. We want to know what's going on inside Fred's mind. We want to know the conversation plugs that we can use on our coffee date with Fred, right? We want to know Fred. We want to know Fred, sorry, more than Fred himself. No, right?
Yeah.
So this is what we want to know. We want to know, and the secret code is here through problems. PQR2 is our secret code, and that's the problems, questions, roadblocks, and results. That's what we wanted to focus.
Yeah.
So when you start with CrawlQ, it challenge you with you set up a workspace name and you associate your workspace with the actual project, so actual website, right? You associate with the domain. So then you're sure that definition of workspace here is a buyer persona, is a Fred. So if you have multiple buyer persona, then you have multiple workspace, and we are not mixing from one Fred to other Fred. One buyer persona, one workspace, and this project is associated with one domain name. Now you can also have a situation where you are in marketing agency, you are catering to the needs of several clients. So each client can have one workspace and their website as a domain. It can also happen that your client is targeting multiple buyer persona. Then you can have multiple workspaces but addressing to same domain. Domain name is just an like a link where you can classify your work and not mix up with other things. Once you create workspace, you are directed to answer some initial onboarding questions. These questions are purposely designed to force you to think in terms of Fred. So you are going to say, okay, what's my niche, sub niche, micro niche, and the way I wanted to explain this is to take a real life example. So let's go inside this. Let's pick up one topic. I think you mentioned video marketing. We have several demo sort of workspaces here. digital agencies, customer service management, content automation, e-commerce, WooCommerce. I'll pick up something which is interesting to both of you, maybe. Let's pick up something podcasting, right? Podcast,
Yep.
B2B podcasting is something close to video marketing, right? Podcasting. Yes. So when I start and set up my workspace, right? So I say all workspaces. That's where you define your workspace name, 3D printing or podcasting. You associate with domain name. You create this, and you are sort of challenged with some questions. So let me go back. Market research and then niche. And here the niche is still Fred, one person, B2B marketer, who is looking into lead generation and master the art of B2B podcasting. Makes sense? Yeah. It's one person. Yeah. And now we are trying to further narrow it down in terms of sub niche, micro niche. Okay. So when I say sub niche, what exactly we are trying to do is we see when we say niche, definition of niche is that here you can also all the time look and helper function where these are instructions to AI and also instruction to users. So a niche is a specific group of people in a specific situation with a specific problem and specific desire, right? So let's try to make it one simple word about it, like problem solution space. So when I say something, we are narrowing it down. We are narrowing it down not in terms of number of people. The other approach, you can also say that I have someone like people in UK, I have, let's say, 10,000 people I want to target. But then you can say I wanted to narrow it down and only for people who are interested in B2B video marketing. Then these numbers are, let's say, 5,000. So that's another approach based on the numbers to narrow down, right? But here we are not taking that approach. We are taking another approach. We are narrowing it down of our single person in the problem solution space. So when I say sub niche, I again use the word B2B marketer who is serious about content marketing and looking for success with the ultimate B2B podcast community to get the right audience. He wants to learn tips, tricks, and tactics to master the art of B2B podcasting. So what you see here, I picked up an theme, problem solution space, and I made this problem solution space more specific, more concrete, more differentiated, right? Because lead generation and master the art, you can also rewrite it and narrow it down and make it more specific. And it's to provide context to AI. It's like the way to, now we need to learn some way how to work with AI to provide it some context, to provide it some story mode. And this is way we can create more contextual information or knowledge that will help us to get better ideas as an output or insights from AI. So you understand why we are doing it. Yes. And you also understand how we are narrowing it down, narrowing it down in the sense of from sub niche to micro niche in the problem solution space itself. So marketer so I'm going to now micro niche. So marketer looking for questions like how podcasting can help. I think similarly, you're looking how video marketing can help. What content you should use for video marketing, equipment, money is needed to set up, including guests, like what kind of guests you should have, videos, and other necessary tactics to know deep inside of the podcast marketing. That's our micro niche. And if you are still with me, you have noticed that I have not gone outside of the Fred's problem solution space. I am still in that same problem solution space. I have not gone outside of it. And then my vertical is very specific, B2B podcast marketing. And my ideal prospect, I need to write a short, like 2-3 sentence for AI to create a buyer persona type of story. So
Yeah.
Morgan is 27-year-old B2B marketer. He's currently scaling his company's organic lead generation. He heard podcasting could help his business growth. Okay. He's struggling to get started and looking for questions like what equipment is needed, which platform to host a podcast, record, write, and find guest speakers. Make sense?
Yeah.
So here again in my story, I focused on two, three components, and those components were who they are, what is their specific situation. So in this case, Morgan is 27-year-old B2B marketer. He's currently scaling his company's organic lead generation. So this is the specific situation of Morgan, our friend here. Okay,
Mhm.
problem and plus what they want or desire. So actually, this is his desire, but also this desire in the sense take him to his current state to future state. And sometimes this desire statement, you can also make it quite emotional, right? Very personal and emotional, because it will differ from concept to concept, right? When we are taking very different topic, then maybe that emotional part is very strong there. So in the desire, you can flesh out some future emotion of this person where he wanted to maybe create an agency, right? A
Yeah.
marketing agency that is top authority using B2B podcasting. Or his desire could be to become an authority, absolute authority on this topic, right?
Yes.
This is always sort of um, a kind of emotional payoff that this person will have. And we have several other ways to capture personal desire, business desires. But in this statement, this is good enough. And then uh, you can now ask me, hey, this is quite difficult. How you come to this kind of terminology? And because when I start, it is very difficult. So the thing is, you can have just rough idea here. If you don't know exactly, right? If you know your friend and you're ready to take him on a coffee date, then I don't think coming up with this story is too difficult. This initial input. If you don't know your freight, that also means that you don't know your business idea that well yet. You're still exploring it. Then there are other ways to create this story. But imagine that you know this, then it's easy to inform some of these items here, like write them roughly, save
Yeah.
them, and then take help of AI to generate additional insights. So when I press the button generate insights, it takes your input as a seed input, and it expand upon those input in a way that either it restructure those input or provide you with additional insights that you can consider to refine and optimize your input, right? Because these are
Yeah.
seed input. Now, for example, it provided me some idea about niche, micro niche. Let's quickly read this micro niche. So B2B podcasting is the next frontier in B2B marketing. Makes sense? I want to learn tips, tricks, and tactics to master the art of B2B podcasting. Look at the content I put out there. How can I maximize my ROI? What equipment do I need to get started? What do I need to spend on the guest, videos, and other necessary tactics? A title could be the difference between keyword research versus keyword optimization podcast. So not necessarily necessary that it comes up with what you want, but in between lines, there's something hidden. What I noticed here, which caught my attention, was how to maximize my ROI. It was focusing on the cost, right? And
Yeah.
somewhere we miss this. I think here I don't see that we talk about how much cost that will be needed. So this is a new insight, and I can incorporate this, refine this, save it. I can also generate again insight, but each time
So you can
you
continue to refine what you've
yeah
actually
you
written.
you
Yeah.
you can continue to refine when you are having a big gap in your knowledge, right? Maybe
Yeah.
you know better than AI already, so you don't need to spend your credits or on that. But you can, of course, you can continue to go, and at some point of time it won't generate additional information because it's also trained on a specific set of data, right? So it can only
Yeah.
you can only beat beat it until until it gives you some nice idea. But at some point of time, I just wanted to manage expectation here, right? Don't think AI can create new ideas. It can, but it will just bring the information on which it is trained. So it has that
Yeah.
limitation. It can, at this stage, I don't think it's learning a lot of new things. In this app, what we are doing is we are making a structure of the idea. So we are seeding the idea and we are controlling the AI to give us inputs around those ideas. Otherwise, it could have also gone quite random, because it then try to give us things which we don't want, right? So
Yeah.
with this seed information and these insights, we have controlled, and we will continue to keep controlling it in this way. So next step, we say, what is your website name, what is your company name, and now from this step onwards, you have this option to fill with AI, and then remaining will be filled up automatically by AI depending on
Yeah.
our seed input. So we are targeting age 27-year-old, gender is male, location was New York, marketer, single, 20-year, bachelors. Sometimes they are some off, they are off, means they are not precise. So you can make it precise. You have to take some time this output with some pinch of salt. You need to see if they are true, factual, but you have control here. You have
So
this.
what about, sorry, what about if I want to promote overseas as well? So not just in England, but also overseas and in another country, for instance. It could be France, it could be America, as well as.
Yeah, you can set up the location as a global, right?
Yeah.
I will mention, I will come upon that. What are sort of
Yeah.
limitations of doing that approach, right? But
Yeah.
of course, you can set up location as global. At this
Or is it
stage,
better to actually localize it initially and then expand afterwards?
I have answer here. Uh, Actually, you can be best and only good available option, right, at one place. You cannot simultaneously. So you can use demographics, right? And you
Yeah.
need first demographics, then we go to semantics and psychographics. We have not covered yet that part, but the order of the information was niche, sub niche, micro niche, ideal prospect overview. Then next step was demographics. Demographics is necessary first, and demographics is not only location but role title, age, gender, location, occupation, marital
Yes.
status, experience, education year, and combined together. The thing is, a decision just based on this demographics alone is still too broad to sell anything interesting to anyone. And if you
Yeah.
try to use only demographics exclusively without semantics and psychographics approach, you will have tough time selling anything to anyone, because location, right? The location is important here,
Yeah.
because you can start with one location. It's way easier to become the best or only option or the default option in one location, right? If you are in central London, and if you are having this your marketing agency, right, and you have very good connection around it, it's very easy to find someone to take on a coffee date on Canary Wharf, right?
Yeah. Mm.
Then to find a people in Amsterdam to go on a coffee date, it will be easier for you. So
Yeah.
then you can start on a location, and slowly you can make it bigger, right, throughout UK, and then touching upon France or Germany or the entire world. It depends, but the idea here is you can be only best or only one option, because you will have stronger feedback loop. You have a stronger a very strong ability to talk to Fred and get the feedback from the Fred. And that's
Yeah.
simple. That's a part of the location. That's why we choose location. Vertical is also important, because the problems, language, biases that this person has in this vertical, like B2B podcasting in Canary Wharf, UK, is can be a vertical, right?
Yeah.
The problems, languages, biases that will be there in this vertical might be different from the problems and the urgency level to solve this problem in another vertical. So when I say vertical, vertical is not just B2B, but vertical is quite specific here. And this can be B2B podcasting, in Canary Wharf. I'm just making it
Yeah, I understand entirely. Yeah.
exaggeration, but you see my point. The thing is, people have different urgency level. They might be interested in fundraising. They might have different access to engineers. I might have different access to the engineering bandwidth as you have, right? You might have a different access to talent as I have access to a talent. You might have different access to partners. So that's this important about vertical experience level, company size. Company size matters because if you are targeting, let's say, only freelancers, one person company, then they are the economic buyers. They are real direct customers. But let's say if you are targeting a bigger company with 10 to 50 people, or even 50 and above, then you have multiple influencers also who make the decision. But still, there is one person who exchange money, right? Who exchange money
Yes.
for the goods and services. So this person is your customer. So for example, if your tool or service, it is useful for engineers, and these are the end users, but these engineers are not exchanging the actual money for the services that you give, right? It's the CEO of the company or the
So
marketing
we
director.
target the. So we're targeting the decision maker.
Yes, we are targeting the person who signed the check, the
Yeah.
person who make the economic decision. And obviously, you can have side buyer personas in terms of engineers or marketing head or HR recruitment or vendor. If you need to influence them heavily, or if you need to start from them, because in some cases you might want to start from account manager, then your buyer persona can start from there. But ultimate customer, we need to remember, is the person who signed the check, right?
Yeah.
These engineers, they are interested in the mechanism, and they just execute the mechanism. They push the buttons, they get the result. But the economic benefit is to the actual CEO or the company or the person who exchanged the real money, right? He
Yeah.
signs the check to get the amount from bank account. So we have to remember that our customer, Fred, is the person who is a real economic decision maker. He exchanged the actual money for the services. Traffic channels are important because the tone, language which is used on Instagram is different from the tone and language which is used on the Facebook and on the LinkedIn, right? So traffic channel is also important. At this stage, our AI, of course, cannot recognize this tone, but we have the idea, because if you see this, the thing that I showed you, it has also a traffic channel here. Traffic channel was on this
Okay.
actually website itself, but it can be Instagram, it can be Google, it can be paid social direct traffic channel. And when you generate these insights, it will give you some more ideas about the traffic channel. Here, the main traffic channel is website itself. The general objective of website is content developers is to provide information about blah, blah, blah. It expands in some direction, but it's not necessary every time to generate insights. These insights are sometimes um, additional, you can say it can be additional garbage, and for some people in this garbage there's some golden nuggets are there,
Yeah.
if you understand what I mean, because it's very hard to control AI, and you can control to a certain extent, but it will provide you some ideas. It's just like you are having a boardroom exercise. There are 5 different colleagues, and you are brainstorming, and each of them putting a sticky note, and you are now reading this sticky notes, and some of it you already know, some of it you will say, oh shit, it's not like useful, right? And
Yeah.
some of it will be quite useful. So that's how you need to treat these insights and manage your expectation around it, right? But the
Yeah.
main information is here, which is sort of retained, and is your research. Then when I go to semantics, now I can take a side step here, because semantics is like your main topic of interest. This is a seed topic, best B2B podcast series. That's what this person want to achieve, Morgan. That's what he want to establish himself as an authority, that anyone search best B2B podcast series, not only search on Google, but also around the Canary Wharf, if someone comes and say, who is the best B2B podcast series producer or something, then he wanted to come first, right? He wanted to show himself as an authority. Now, you can also combine the search intent and other part here before you come here, because it might be the case that you are still researching on your topic, right? So there are other tools inside here. There's a spying wizard, search intent discovery. So first, let's look at the spying wizard.
Yep.
So let's say B2B podcasting. Here, there are again different tools. So semantics, psychographic, social media search, video search. And the first thing first, you can unlock insights. Now, it was again a deliberate attempt in this app to not to think in terms of keyword, topics, search volume, SEO, but think about the target audience. First question, what idea would my target audience would have about B2B podcasting? So having a free strategy to lure them into paid solution, blah, 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 it provides you some direction, some steering, but not in terms of keyword. What benefit would my target audience have from B2B podcasting? So again, it provides some question answer, which help you to narrow down your research. What suspicion would my target audience would have about B2B podcasting? So
Yeah.
now with this information, you can further go and narrow down your research. You're not focusing really on the keywords, but you're focusing on podcasting ideas, podcasting suspicion, benefits, dreams, desires, websites, newsletter, enemy, mistakes. You click one of these, you are taken to, of course, search, but that means uh, you are put in a framework of reference where you are not focusing too much on keywords, but more on the actual dreams, desires, mistake. Armed with this knowledge, you can refine your inputs in the market research better. So these are side functions. You can
Yeah.
explore social media like Facebook page, Facebook group, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn groups. We will add also Instagram or more information here. But the great thing was, like, when I search on Twitter, B2B podcasting, I can find some description of the threads here. I can tell you, I really do this. I enjoy this feature where I
Uh-huh.
go to some people's profile and I start understanding, is there something common with Justin, with Max? Are they saying something which is trending the way they want to describe themselves? It gave me a lot of idea about Fred. And in another case, I found exactly one person who has a quite good description, and I chose this person as my friend. So if you don't know exactly who you want to take on a coffee date for this conversation, you can also go here and pick up some points, right? That's
Yeah.
also another way to understand the Fred. But there are, you can also go on LinkedIn if your target audience is more on the LinkedIn or YouTube, or if some hashtag why you can get some other information. You can perform video searches. You can go to podcast and podcast directories. You can go to news stories, Medium, Bing, Yahoo, news trends. You can search through the information databases like Quora, WikiHow, references.com, books, product hunt, Google Books, ClickBank, books and product reviews, like from the Egene articles or some other places. Now, this is something that it depends on your time and how deep you wanted to go with this. It's not necessary to spend hours and hours here. It can be that you wanted to skim through some ideas here and you wanted to sort of get that necessary information to keep going, right? You can come anytime, refine anytime. It's not necessary that you spend countless hours here. The idea is
Yeah.
just to focus in terms of Fred's dreams, desires, objections, right? That was main idea. Now you also want to see, sometime it's important that what people are searching for the let's say here B2B podcasting. So here we are trying to understand not really the keyword search volume, but the trends. What trends are happening in the industry about this? So let me explain this first. So when I search, I didn't get much, like it's B2B podcasting or B2B growth podcast, or maybe when I just put maybe the podcasting, then you will get much more trending topics. Now it's there much more than this, right? Podcasting
Yeah.
equipment, podcasting platform, microphone software for beginners, jobs, apps, podcasting awards. And here what you see is different questions that people are asking, like which laptop for podcasting, what is podcasting, what podcasting is all about, what equipment do I need, and that's where I also got some inspiration when I created that demo workspace, because people were
So you can
asking about.
actually also utilize those to create blogs as well, future
Yeah,
blogs.
indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. You can also use this. What is podcasting used for? What podcasting in one language, English or education, or
Yeah.
podcasting in computer? When question, when did podcasting start? When did podcasting become popular? So these are some questions. You can also compare podcasting versus another approach in the comparison keywords, like podcasting and broadcasting, for example, podcasting and education, podcasting versus streaming. You can put some keyword as a modifier or prepositions on those. You get more information. Here, I will explain in a moment the buyer's journey, fresh buyer's journey. But you can also have the search intent. Like if you're focusing on the top of the funnel, then you will be focusing on ideas. What is podcasting? How does podcasting work? How do I use podcasting? Meaning of podcasting. When you are having transaction intent, that is kind of middle of the funnel, you have affordable, cheapest, such terms that are used
Yeah.
alongside podcasting. And when he's making a purchase decision, then you use more like pricing, and content also change, right? I will come back to that in a moment, but I just wanted to show you some side functions, and you can continue, keep researching your niche. You don't need to, if you know the person you wanted to talk on coffee date, right, then it's a straightforward exercise. If you're
Yeah.
not aware about the business idea itself, so I wanted to make very clear distinction. When I say niche, I'm really saying about the person, Fred, the Morgan here. When I'm saying podcasting, B2B podcasting, then it's a business idea, right? So
Yeah.
business idea is different than niche. So it's just like a terminology that we have to be careful while we approach the information here.
Yeah.
I was here on the semantics. So main topic of interest, I will provide it as best B2B podcast series. I can also pick up a trending topic from the side function that I just showed. Then I'm expected to put another topic like most downloaded B2B podcast. And then I can say fill with AI, and AI will come up with its own topics, niche headlines, sub headlines. So here, niche headline was attention, CMOs looking for best B2B podcasts. Okay.
Yeah.
Niche headline 5 podcast for your B2B company, or a sub headline is how to do podcast marketing. Now, sometime this is a structure imposed based on the copywriting instructions and formulas, because in the background we tell the AI what is a good niche headline, what is sub headline. We provided some example, but we made it in a way which do not lose the creativity of AI to come up with new ideas or new thoughts. So sometimes it's not exactly in the same way as it is given as an example, but of course the information that is driving here is coming via an copywriting approach and instructions that are given to AI. So hopefully you understand that this is not a random output that AI is creating. Now, based on our seed information, it is restructuring that information in a way which is useful for the content creation, if that makes sense. Yeah. So again, if the psychographics, I need to come up with one idea, like a single big shocking statement. So the definition of shocking statement here is everyone believes in something which is X, but the truth is opposite of X. So for example, here you can start, did you know that podcasting is the next B2B marketing frontier for brand and marketing, and how to build a predictable demand generation engine are the key themes of his key themes of this, which you must not miss the show, right? Something was shocking here, not absolutely shocking in the sense, but for many people, it would be eye opener that B2B marketing will be influenced heavily by video marketing and podcasting. Maybe for
Yeah.
people, right? Some people it might be new because they might not be used to it. But you can come up here with the more strong, shocking statement. That's what I wanted to say. And another one, the emotional payoff. So for Morgan, he want to make a deeper connection with the problem pain points of target audience with the right talking points using his podcast, right?
Yeah.
Again, I say fill with AI, and then it comes up with its own. So single big desire is create a predictable demand generation engine. That's what our Morgan wants. Uh, Single big person, he want to become authority marketer, B2B marketer. Problem, he need to scale his company's lead generation, but he don't know what content, equipment, money is needed to set up, including guest, videos, and necessary tactics. Agitation, solution, big question that target audience is asking is what content, equipment, money is needed to set up, including guest, videos, and other necessary tactics. Sometimes it repeats, but what is happening here actually is when we provided seed input, it restructure those input in terms of these concepts. These concepts
Mhm.
are single big result, single big question, single big roadblock. Roadblock for Morgan is struggling to get started. Single big pain is how to create a podcast. Curiosity, adjectives, positive, negative. Secret, podcasting is the next B2B marketing frontier for brand marketing. Mistake, feature, benefit, single big benefit is podcasting is the next B2B marketing. You see, there are some repeat, but this repeat is structured in a sense that we can use it them in our content creation later. So this whole research is organized and structured in a way that become highly useful when we create content, right? So
Yeah.
let me quickly go back to this guide, what we have covered so far. Um, we had this idea, so I took a deep dive approach where I could also start directly with the niche information, niche, sub niche, micro niche, and I
Yeah.
can directly go to content creation. But the output that you expect there will be low quality, or if you're just only talking about, let's say, B2B podcast in general, then still it will be okay because we have information on niche, sub niche, some problem pain point. But if you want to really deep dive into our approach as a buyer persona, then we have to follow this deep dive approach. And if you know the person on the Canary Wharf, then it's okay because then you can directly answer these questions like define your niche, semantics, demographics, and psychographics, right? And you also take
Yeah.
help of AI, regardless of whether this tool exists or not, whether AI was there or not. These are the fundamental business questions that you need to discover while having a coffee date on a on a place, right?
Yeah.
Nice cafe in Canary Wharf. So you understand, if you have like sort of difficulty with the topic itself because you're venturing into a new business, you're originating a new business idea, you're validating an existing business idea, you don't know many people, then you can also take a detour and you can go to this spying wizard. You can discover more pain points related to that target audience. Even if you know the person and you have planned a coffee date, still it makes a lot of sense to do this homework before you meet uh, this person on a coffee date, right? So still
Yeah.
it is useful, but it depends on how much time you wanted to spend. If you know this person and already you are quite into the business, then it's very easy to come up the answers of this question.
No,
So
I've at present moment, I'm just trying to, I'm wanting to refine so that
yeah,
I can actually start to build funnels within my business so
right.
that I can actually target
Mhm.
niche specific individuals
Right,
for conversion.
right. So here we took these steps, and now next step is train Athena, is our internal AI. Before I go there, I'll just see quickly if we miss something. So we can start with a quick gain. This quick gain approach is only useful when you are a content writer. A content brief is submitted to you by agency or company CMO directly. This content brief also possibly contain target audience, certain topics or keywords. You just want to fill in the content with all necessary information to research and write the blog content without going into deep into your buyer persona. So this can be use case, but we took here a deep dive and we took some side steps also, because maybe we don't have a concrete idea who could potentially be our friend that we are meeting next week on a coffee date, right? Then this approach will help. We discovered this. We quickly try to get rough idea, and also we can take help of Twitter, LinkedIn to research about our buyer persona. We can take help of the search intent, right? Then we discussed why headlines, niche headlines are important. They need to be really super bodacious, in the sense that the headline, the job of the headline is to grab the attention for the first few seconds, and force your reader to continue on that page and read the subheadline, from subheadline to the content that follows, right? So that's why this headline subheadline follows some copywriting formula. They have some instructions based on this. And we also discuss like why it is necessary to focus on location, vertical, experience, company size, roles are important, traffic channels are important. In the psychographics we quickly check these items, right? So here, before I go to the next step, what CrawlQ is different from rest of the tool is that it allows you to create a feedback mechanism from the thread. So next week you are meeting this person on Canary Wharf, right? And you get some input. Now you can come back, take some notes, and again feed into this database that we are creating, and we are evolving it. So it's not one-time exercise. We just start with first 5 categories. We create our conversation points. Maybe we create a blog post, and we go to Fred, we take some input, and then we keep evolving our buyer persona. So it's like ongoing concern type of thing, right? Ongoing exercise to evolve the buyer persona based on the Fred's journey. And the customer journey here is, maybe Fred is not aware about the problem. So your job is to move him from unaware to aware stage, from aware to interested stage. And at some point of time, he's interested in evaluating your product or service or solution. And finally, he's trying to purchase it. So there are different factors. So when you are in the first stage, you focus on the industry level, like high problem pain points. There is a high focus, and this focus is based on the B2B podcasting, right? It's an industry level focus. But as this spread moves in the stages, you focus less on the industry, but you have a high focus on the Fred specific problem pain points. So you have a high focus on those. Also, there are different types of personalization. So in the first 4 categories that we did, we sort of extracted, or we collected the mass desire. And in the first step, when Fred is unaware of the problem, we exploit that mass desire in terms of showing him the road, showing him the future road, and also talking about his suspicions, confirming the suspicions and the mistakes, failures. But as we move in this buyer persona journey, then at some stage you have to be hyper personalized. You have to really talk about Fred, and that stage you have case studies, testimonials, calculator, references, other customers references, right? And then you can be very hyper personalized in that approach. Also, emotional triggers are different. When he's unaware of the problem solution space, you can talk in a um, high emotional content, right? The emotional level of the content is high. But as the Fred moves in the journey, you can be more rational. When he's just putting his credit card number and the 3 digit to buy something from you, you have to be rational at this stage. And by being rational, you show him the ROI, you show him the analysis, evidences from other customers. So you see the content change. You start with blog posts, infographics, short videos. Then you change it to report, white paper, ebook, case studies, testimonials, sales letters, right? So now I wanted to connect next step was this training to Athena. So what is Athena and what does it mean? So far we have collected some information on these 4 or 5 categories, and we also want to inject in our mass desire sort of these emotional argument, psychographics, some scientific facts, numbers, figures, statistics, some data-driven intelligence. And this is the region you can go back here on the main app. There's a dashboard. On this dashboard, you can say um, you can pick up a URL which is industry URL or your own website or your own research or your own
Yeah.
blog or something that is factually accurate. Because if you are following a lot of discussion about AI currently, it can come up with its own fact, which is difficult to verify. And that's what we wanted to make sure, that you can inject additional factual statements into those into that knowledge that we have created so far. And
Yeah.
once you choose that URL, you say power up Athena, then we are going to get everything at one place. It's a kind of centralized search, and you can search back here. So for example, when I go to CrawlQ search, I'm not sure if I trained Athena, but let's say if I say single big benefit, then I'm expecting it to give me the single big benefit that I already have in the data. So this is something like you have created your own Google inside your workspace. It should.
So would your own search parameters in Athena be, say, for instance, like your competitors, say they've got a competitor's site and you feel as though it's a very good site to actually sort of emulate some of the information?
Yes, you
That
can
sort of thing.
emulate some of the information from the competitor or from the authority websites or from your own research, but it has to be really in the context of Fred, right?
Yeah.
It should not deviate. If we are talking here about B2B podcasting, we should not here put some kind of lead generation software and the factual statement about that. It has to be specifically in the context, and the goal here is to inject additional facts, numbers, figures, scientific evidences, right? That should be
Yeah.
part of our emotional statements or the other things that we have created.
And
So
you can have multiple search
current
URLs in Athena as well.
currently the way we designed is one at time, because
Yeah.
what happens is the more information you create here, more we are polluting the specific differentiation.
It's,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's a very difficult word.
Yeah, this is a specific nature of workspace we have to maintain. Otherwise we are creating same Google approach where we get position 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? we wanted
Yeah.
to we wanted to get differentiation. We wanted to get the specific nature of the workspace that should be preserved, right? So that's why we don't want mix too much information. But I can imagine there could be some use cases where information is spread across different URLs. So for that, we are trying to see that you can add multiple URL, exclude, include it. That's something
Yeah.
that is currently under development. But imagine it's like an AI assistant sitting next to you, and you are saying, Athena, give me that file where I wrote 3 days back the pain point about Fred. Athena, give me that file number 367 from that drawer where I wrote this information 1 month back, right? So this is your
Yeah.
assistant, and anytime your team, you can use it. You can sort of ask question to it, and it will provide you information from that single source. So what we have created, a golden source of truth, a single source of truth. And this single source of truth will help us to create prompt for AI to write content. Because in other tools, you every time you need to come up with your own pain point, idea, solution, roadblock to write the story, right? But but as a human, we can change, right? It's not possible to remember everything. But if we use this approach, we are going to be super specific to Fred, but also consistent to Fred every time we talk to Fred, because we are drawing the ideas and concept from that single source of golden truth, right? So now you can ask me a question like how to do the content creation. So here I mean, there are different ways. You can go to AI content writer or a sales copywriting wizard. The sales copywriting has a lot of sales letters, emails, insights, webinar scripts, video scripts. And the way it works is like is same like I showed you this CrawlQ search.
Yeah.
When you write content, it draws the information and help you to write content. Here you can also go to the AI content writer, and here you can create blogs and very in-depth blogs. Not like this AI pushing the button and you're creating blog. No, you can create really in-depth blogs. So let me show you maybe one example. So it is kind of bit developed, but the main idea here is you have different tools. You can start like once you provide some minimum information, that minimum information connect with already what research you have done so far. And based on this, the first place is create some outline. This outline is in this bold thing that you see. I just
Yeah.
started filling that outline that my blog should have this introduction, that introduction. And now when I get that outline, there are different tools here which can help me to research and expand that content. So I can say generate headline intro. So based on this, the information that we have in our market research that we did, right? It will create me some headline and introduction. How to create a podcast that converts into lead. That is specifically in the context of the research that we did. Now I can use this also as my starting point, right? As a starting point of my blog. So I say how to create a podcast that converts into lead. I can use also this para that is generated as a part of this introduction. That's my starting point of the blog, right? So in this article, I'll share you my tips and tricks how to master the art of B2B podcasting. It will take some time, but it will work in the end. Now I can select this statement. If I'm lazy, I don't want to, I wanted to see how it goes further. I can also say, write me Athena. So this another tool inside the content creator to take that statement and expand on it, right? This is one type of
Yeah.
tool. This is
Uh-huh.
another type of tool. I'll show you more tools. But what is happening here is taking that statement and expanding on it and creating a content. I don't want to read, but I can assure you that it's really in the context of what we are asking here. We can also create our own prompt here. So we can say, I want to have single big desire of my target audience. So it would understand what I mean by that single big desire, right? So you can use write me Athena function in different way. You can create your own podcast. Single big desire is create a podcasting strategy for B2B marketers. And I think this is very close to what market research we have here. Single big, where should be here somewhere, single big desire, create a predictable demand generation engine. So it is still in the context because we wanted to create demand generation engine, right? Before
Yeah.
that you wanted to have a strategy. So it's not exact copy of this. Sometime it will fetch you exactly same result, but now I can continue to expand on it because I got a single big desire of my target audience, which is in the context of what I'm trying to write. So at any time you can access your market research from here in the market overview tab. I showed you headline intro as one tool, write me Athena as another tool. Then we have all competitors content on this topic, B2B podcasting, which are ranking 5, 6. We pick up the content which we can really process. So sometime you might not see the rank 1 because maybe that content is not good enough to process information. But I think you see here we are pulling the content, and
Yeah.
the content, let's say here was from the LinkedIn. This is the para of that content. You can rewrite this, or rewrite is not like a wonderful function because it just when I rewrite it, put some synonyms, and that's not fancy thing you want to do. You want to do it like at the last resort if you really so lazy. But the interesting value here is we convert this content into questions, right? And we get the answers, or we generate the answers of these questions based on our market research. So this is another approach where we can take inspiration from competitors' content. And if this answer is open-ended, it will generate a descriptive answer. If it's a close-ended, you can also modify these questions and like speak in the same language as Athena you have trained, right? Market research. So using this information, you can also keep adding the information that you need here, right? So this is way to develop the blog. We also have, for example, templates that if you are new to the content creation or how to create blog, it provides you certain structure of the template. So here it was how to write an infographic blog post. So for example, whatever you see here in the blue color, you can select and quickly create an outline of the blog using Write Me Athena function. This introduction, you use headline intro tool. That's what I just used, and it has certain specific instructions in between. So sure to write this in 100 to 100 word introduction, and be sure to highlight what is single big desire in this introduction, what vertical you are talking. But now you can get those things very quickly by just selecting this, Write Me Athena, selecting this, Write Me Athena. So this is a template: key takeaway one, key takeaway two, takeaway three, takeaway four, single big benefit. This is some information for the new bloggers, like what should they write here. Everything that you see as a blue thing is you can use this as a prompt to call the editor as a Write Me Athena, or some other information that you can write yourself also. But this is not like a push button AI content creation. It has a lot of structure, and you don't need to every time come up with your benefit pain point. It's already there in the database, right? So this way it help you to make a very consistent content. So we are almost over 1 hour. We already only created 5% of market research, and with this we can create good content. But you can continue to go on, and if you have created, or if you go more deeper into it, it can really help you to not only discover your niche, but also your transformation mechanism. What price your niche is willing to pay for this. So you can discover the whole market, and that's why it's called market research, because you also have case studies, you have testimonials, you have your offer, how to design the offer, you have sales objections, you have different types of assets that you have created, link, your team, FAQs, core concept, company logos, benefits and outcome. You can, with this information, is almost a structure of a full-fledged sales letter, if you know what I mean. It contains everything that you need to create white paper, to create case studies, to create ebooks, right? Everything centralized at one place as a golden source of truth. So you can evolve it. You don't need to you don't need to do it 100% first time. And you also have an opportunity here to incorporate the feedback from Fred, because no matter how AI is going to evolve, no matter what data you get from Google Analytics, it's only the Fred who can confirm if your message is resonating with Fred or not, right? Fred can only confirm this. So, and we have the opportunity here to take a pause, go to Fred, ask feedback, and incorporate that, and then evolve this. So that's how I see this as a mechanism. Of course, we can include some metrics here or some additional data as we develop this tool further. But I hope you got the idea here. Currently, this deal is on AppSumo, but because I spent
I've actually purchased the AppSumo deal.
Okay.
Yes, I have indeed. Yes.
Maybe you are too early, but I wanted to give you some link where you can purchase it from us as well. But if someone is interested, please do that in your network. If someone is interested, they can also buy from us. It's exactly
Yes.
same deal. There's no difference. So I hope Ian is still driving the car or stopped at a cafe and having a talk with Fred. But I will close this call and share the recording with you. Any last question that you wanted to have with me?
So, I'm able to also, for instance, make sure that the SEO for Google, you can actually target the content so that it's targeted in Google and improve its search rankings, I would imagine.
The approach, the side step that I took, and I showed you how people are searching, how trending topics are there. You can also incorporate those long tail keywords based on your keyword research that you wanted to do. But here in this app, we wanted to really take a different approach than the keyword and topics. But the way, if you follow the Google, what they are saying is, if you want to create value content, and if your friend like those content, Google will also rank those content. So if you create more super specific content based on your buyer persona, and you are using long tail intent, and if this Fred start reading, sharing this content, you will also get benefit, obviously, for the SEO, because you will be targeting very super specific topics and questions, and not like just some keywords, right? It's very hard to get rank 1 on B2B podcast. I think it's very hard. But if you talk about B2B podcast for a specific vendor on location Canary Wharf, I think it might be easier to get rank it at least on that location. And someone search with Canary Wharf B2B best podcaster, then it's more chances there that you will rank high if you take that consideration into account while writing the content, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Anything else I can help with?
No, it's been quite good actually. I will now start tackling my site and content on it to actually evolve it.
Sure. Okay. I don't know if I can ask this to Ian, because it's driving as well. But if Ian want to have some questions, please go ahead. As I will close this call. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye bye. Take care. Have a nice day further. Bye bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.